Do you want to intro the podcast with the name?
But I wanted to just ask you a written down question before we go into the podcast. Actually,
Okay.
Do you know who Avicii is?
DJ?
DJ.
Yeah, no. I know Avicii, a DJ, maybe.
Right, watch a documentary on Netflix.
Okay.
It's about him. But
Is it called Avicii?
Yeah, it's Avicii something. But
Right.
cut long story short, I won't ruin it for the followers. But if you haven't watched it, but basically he was like quite a big part of my life growing up, and I thought I'm gonna talk to Jordan about this because I wanted your opinion on it. Cut long story short, when I was in uni, Avicii got really big,
Yeah.
and one of his songs, "Levels," you must have hit Levels.
What's it like? Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah, yeah,
remember we used to do this thing once a year in uni called Walk in Touch, and it was like Walk in Touch rugby because I went to UWIC. It's predominantly like a sports rugby university. And when was the last time you watched rugby?
Oh, what, live?
Just like international rugby in Wales.
Six Nations.
Right,
Like,
you dip in and out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know who Alex Cuthbert is?
Yes.
So he was in uni with me, right? And he was a bit of a skinny dude in the first few years. And I think in his third year, he just absolutely blew up. And I remember when Avicii, when I was walking up to Walk in Touch, and Alex Cuthbert was in the background because he was in third year. I think I was in second or first year. I just remember like looking at him and being like, "Oh my god, he is absolutely massive." He was just surrounded by these girls. Everyone wanted a bit of him because he'd just, I think, gotten into the Wales squad.
All right.
Which was quite a bit of a big deal. I just remember looking at him and I was like, he is absolutely humongous. He's gone huge in like a matter of a few months. I think one of my boys who used to live with him said that he put on like 15 kg or something ridiculous like that in like 3 months.
No.
And obviously I was quite into the gym. I was like, that sounds like I've been training for a long time, but
Yeah.
I've not even put 15 kg on. And I thought, when I was thinking about this, when I was watching the documentary, I was like, I'm going to ask Jordan this. The reason why I asked you if you watch international rugby is because some of the men nowadays on the rugby pitch are just absolute units.
Yeah.
Like, you were talking 120 kg for like a 6'5" second row.
Yeah.
Like, some of the South Africans are humongous. What percentage of those men do you reckon have dabbled in maybe a little bit of gear, a little bit of human growth hormone? Is it prevalent, do you reckon, at that level?
I reckon, yeah. I reckon it is. But then on the flip side of that, I try and, like, obviously all that sort of stuff I'm really interested in. So it's like very much like on my radar. But I like to think that like people don't just dope and just do it all the time. And I would have said yes if it wasn't for like Robin Southern-Taylor working for like, you know, Welsh Rugby
Because
S&C.
you know him, do you?
Yeah, no, really well.
Oh, you went to your stag.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
And because he works with like Welsh Rugby, he's Cardiff Blues S&C coach, and his knowledge on it was minimal. And he's played international rugby, minimal. And then when I used to ask him about it, he'd just be like, "Oh, I didn't really know. It wasn't like discussed like that much." And I was like, "Fuck off, bollocks." And then like the more I talked to him then, and he was doing stuff for Wales then. So he went Cardiff Blues S&C, and he's doing some Wales stuff recently. And I was speaking to him about that, and it's very much the same. Like they're just like, it's almost like not that like widely spoken about, and I feel like their like knowledge of it is quite low. So I would say like yes to a point, but I don't think the culture necessarily like pumps it from like a club base or from like a team base. But maybe like, you know, personal endeavors, you know, like how many of them do recreational drugs? Probably quite a lot. How many of them are just dabbling a little bit on the side in like an off season where the drugs they can take can be in and out of their system before they get back into the season.
And
like
injury as well, right?
Yeah, exactly, like peptides and stuff like that. So like I feel like if the person is quite like driven in the gym, because a couple of his players, the Blues were really shit in the gym, like didn't like it, didn't really put that much effort into it, and were like quite complacent in like the S&C space, but obviously great at rugby. I feel like if someone was a little bit more like dialed in with their gym stuff, they probably have more of an interest in like searching things that they could do to like maximize without sort of putting themselves or their careers at jeopardy. Really so I reckon like to answer your question, I think like yes, but probably not as much as you think. I think the reason like these guys are like pro rugby players is because they're like the top end of the genetic pool, where those qualities are mandatory for rugby, and they probably can have the predisposition to pack on muscle and power, strength, speed quite easily. So I think like yes and no.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. And then I think it goes back to something that I saw on social media a few weeks ago. It was like, I didn't play rugby because I liked it. Rugby picked me because I was big and strong naturally.
Yeah,
and I think you
exactly.
just fall into a sport if you are genetically like,
Yeah.
you're not getting someone who's 5'1" to go, oh, I'm going to play basketball.
Exactly,
You
100%,
know?
exactly. And I think it very much is like that.
Yeah.
And if you're shit at it, you're probably not going to persist
No,
with
exactly.
it. You try and find things that you're good at, naturally take to. And then once you naturally take them, you tend to enjoy it a little bit more. So then you start to push it a little bit more, pursue it further, and then get good at it, you know?
Yeah. I do think, though, that I think there must be a bit of dabbling going on because some of these men are genuinely fucking units.
Yeah.
Like scary units. You see them in real life, you're like, whoa, you are. You're a beast. You know?
Yeah.
Fair play. I really admire them, though. Like, and again, even if they are dabbling, still working hard.
I know.
And I'm surprised that they don't push it more. Because you think of like professional sports, how much money there is to be made at the real top end.
Push what more?
As in push doping a little bit more.
It's because it's banned.
No, I know, but you think that there must be ways to get around it. Have you seen Icarus?
Yeah, it's like my favorite documentary.
Mental.
Yeah.
Absolutely mental. If anyone hasn't watched Icarus, by the way, it's a program on Netflix which talks about like doping in
Russia, they did the Winter Olympics and stuff. Yeah.
Insane. And you think, is it happening at the top end, but they're just getting away with it? Because there was a rumour, I'm a big Liverpool football fan, right? And I was really gutted when I heard that 2 or 3 seasons ago, 50, again, I'm probably going to get the statistic wrong, Jamie, have a look at this, but there was a statistic of like 56% or something of their players had asthma. And they were a high pressing team, so high pressing being like you have to like run quite a lot. And it's like 56% of them are on asthma. Are they taking stuff just to give them that extra 5%?
Yeah.
And when there's millions of pounds to be made, you'd think that they'd be pushing it a bit more and bending the rules.
Yeah. It's like when Sharapova got done. Remember Maria Sharapova? Yeah.
I don't remember the story.
Got done for, I think it was like metformin, type 2 diabetic drug. And the reason that she was taking that was because her parents or her dad, I wouldn't say her parents, let's say her parent, I think her dad was diabetic, and she was like, I'm taking it as precaution, so I don't get it. It's like type 2 diabetes. You're professional. You're 6'1", like lean as, fit as. You think you're gonna get type 2 diabetes? Well, no, it helps with like cardiovascular and recovery performance. So it's just like, sorry, love, can't quite fall for that.
Yeah. Very interesting. We've been up to this morning, haven't we?
Had a couple of meetings, one online meeting, and then I met my accountant before coming here. All the fun stuff.
How did that go?
Good. End of year 1 here in Zero.
Oh, is that how the month year works with you? Is
the year end is like April to April, but we're just getting basically understanding like just overall costs and fixed assets, and then he's putting it all into spreadsheets just so we can be a bit more efficient with the bookkeeping and the accounts, especially nowadays. Like I spoke to Brad about it. It's like when you set up a small business, there's like 0 incentives. There's like no grants, no incentives, and then there's just tax on tax on tax. So I was like trying to meet my accountant quite regularly, or somewhat regularly, just to try and be like super efficient with managing costs and stuff. So otherwise it gets out of control, and you just sort of pay out constantly. So yeah.
And how's everything looking? Because I know you had, when you were starting up Zero, I remember there was so much. You seem a lot less stressed now.
Oh yeah, it's just because we're just like constantly, like, it ebbs and flows. Like any gym owner that listens to this will know that it doesn't just like linearly progress. Like over time, you'd hope it would be, if you really zoom out. Like I've got like a linear graph from like when I opened in December to now. But it just ebbs and flows in like the short term, and I feel like I understand that more now. Whereas I used to get really emotional. Someone like was like, "Oh, I'm leaving." I'd be like, "Why?" They're like, "Oh, I'm going to uni in Nottingham." I'm like, "So commute." Yeah, you're like, "Oh, I just get gutted." Like, I want to do something else. I'm like, "Why on earth would you want to do something else? What do you want to do? Run?" So I called a treadmill upstairs. They're like, "Oh, I should run on the road." I was like, "Why? It's cold. Just run in here." Anyway, so like, yeah, I've a bit more understanding of the whole like ownership thing now. And yeah, because we're just sort of like trending upwards. It's just like, yeah, it's just less stressful. But then as soon as you start like doing well, you pay more, and it's just, yeah, that's why I like meeting, just to keep making sure that everything's like on track. Yeah.
What's your ideal? Let me better question. How far forward do you think with like where I want this place to be in X amount of years? Do you think that far forward, or is it like is there a 5-year plan? Is there a 10-year plan? Is it a 2-year plan?
I think I've got a bit of everything. I think I've got like the short, medium, and long terms, I call them, rather than putting like year caps on it. But in the, I suppose to answer your question, me and Thomas discussed that quite a lot. I like to reflect a lot.
Thomas being
my business partner.
not this Tommy. as
No,
in Tommy.
Thomas Lilly, business partner.
Yeah,
So we talk about like,
good. Yeah, like you said, this class. Love training here.
yeah,
I
thanks,
think the
man.
members love it as well.
Yeah,
I think you talked to me before about the retention rate. You
Yeah.
don't really get much people leaving.
no,
And I think that's credit to you of putting this community in place. I used to like, when I used to hear coaches talk about community and gym owners talk about community, I was like, oh, you're just full of shit. You're just latching onto some kind of buzzword
yeah,
that people like to hear, because humans, we thrive in communities, don't we?
yeah,
And I've always gone to gyms and been like, oh, it's not that much of a community here. But I
Yeah.
come down here and I'm like, oh, there's actually a community here.
yeah,
There's people, there's members who talk to other members.
yeah,
And in other gyms, you will go in there and you don't speak to someone.
Yeah, yeah,
Even though
yeah.
if you've been training in the same gym for a year,
yeah,
you don't speak to them.
yeah,
You'll see them around, just maybe a hi, a nod.
yeah,
There's never a conversation. But I think I've probably spoken to every member here.
yeah.
On some kind of level.
It's really cool. I spoke about this with staff, and I was like, one thing I'm like super grateful about is like our membership base. Like we're a 24-hour gym, so like when we're not staffed. When we first opened, like you remember, I was like checking the cameras all the time. I was like, who's out? What are they doing? It was almost like weird, like Big Brother-esque.
Who's leaving the gym equipment out?
Yeah, like just constantly like watching people on the cameras, just like super concerned that things are going to go missing and stuff. Whereas now I'm like, oh, my members will just take care of it. Like they're really cool, trustworthy people. Generally respect the space, respect each other. And yeah, it's just like, I love coming here and then just like chatting to people, because they're all like sort of like-minded, like call them like our people. And they've very much got the same sort of vision and path as like what we're trying to do to the customer, the consumer, they want for themselves as well. So it's very much like on the same page. I'm not trying to attract people and convert sales to people that don't really want to pursue this endeavor. The people that are here want to pursue what we offer. So then even if they don't receive like a coaching service from them, they're just using the gym as a gym, they're still getting supported by us because they're trying to better themselves in the same way as we want them to better themselves. So it's really nice. I love it.
Yeah, I get a bit weirded out of people who don't want to better themselves these days. I'm like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
Like, what do you
just tread water?
Just tread water, or just do the same thing every day and don't
Yeah.
really question it. I'm
But
a bit like,
we spoke about that the other day though, like the postman and the delivery driver.
yeah.
Like,
Do you want to explain that story?
yeah. So basically, Dan and I were talking and just talking about work, and talking about just like getting more clients in and doing sales and self-improvement for us. What can we always do better, and how much it can sort of consume your mindset, right? Like I think about like improving this place all the time. I literally go to bed thinking about it. What did I do today? What could I do better? And all this sort of stuff. And then we were saying like when we go on holiday, so I go on holiday in a couple of weeks, and I'll like take my laptop, look at some emails. I'll tell myself to do less, but there's always something to do just to make sure everything is still, all the cogs are still turning and stuff. Whereas we discussed like how simple it was. I was like walking Kilo one morning, planning the day in my head, and then this DPD guy just like had a coffee, and then he just sort of like pulled up, threw his van up on the curb, jumped out, scanned his parcel, knocked, put it on the floor, and then jumped back in his van. And I was like, how simple is that? He like clocks in at like 7 a.m. say. He just does X amount of deliveries, call it 100 deliveries in a day, finishes at 3. And then that's it, done. No more thinking. He doesn't reflect on how efficient he was with like this, delivering this parcel. It's just sort of, here's the list of houses I got to go to. Here are the parcels I got to deliver. This is the hours I'm working, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And like that.
Thinking.
Yeah. And then if he has 2 weeks off, he's on holiday, he's like, oh, I'm not delivering parcels for 2 weeks. And it's that clear switch off.
Yeah, I get a bit envious
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
But then the other part, I'm like, I think we both read a book, didn't we, before, called Surrounded by Idiots. I think you were like halfway through it.
Yeah.
And we just saw ourselves, there's like the red category, where it's always striving for more. And sometimes I think, like, as exhausting as that is, I couldn't imagine living myself another way. But also at the same time, I'm trying to be a bit more present. I'm trying to, and I am getting a lot better at it.
Yeah.
It's like self-reflection and being more self-aware, knowing when your thoughts are ruminating and you're kind of like in this, and it's like, no, hang on, like you're doing fine. Stop thinking of these made-up scenarios and outcomes that 100%. Could happen, that probably never will. Just chill and like enjoy life. And I'm definitely that's been for me like a process that I've had to really work on.
Yeah, me too. Like creating a hypothetical outcome doesn't exist. Whereas like, oh, this could happen, and it could happen. It probably won't ever happen.
Slim.
But then believing that it has happened, and then having an emotional response to this hypothetical situation that I've created that's negative. And it's just like, why am I creating a hypothetical negative outcome that I'm believing is true, or at least emotionally reacting as if it's true? Why don't I just make it more positive and just like believe that one and be happier? Or better still, why don't I just be like, this is what I've done on the day, this is what I'm going to do better tomorrow, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then like put that to bed, and it's like, okay, now I can just like switch off and focus on cooking dinner, enjoying this food, sitting down with my wife, cuddling my son, and just, you know,
being.
Yeah,
that's
a little
nice.
bit more being rather than like constantly forward planning.
Yeah, power of now, mate. You need to.
I know, mate, I've got it for holiday. I'm going to read it on holiday.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward for you to read it. There's
Yeah.
parts of it. I know you. We said that we were never going to talk about like religion in this podcast,
Yeah.
but there's parts of it that's a little bit religious, and I know you're not really into that stuff.
Yeah.
But just go with it.
Yeah. No,
It's only a small.
I'll read it all because I love perspective.
Yeah.
You know, even if
It's
I disagree
important.
with something, I'll
Yeah.
always listen to someone's perspective.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
yeah.
We have to in our line of work. Like I've worked with men from different backgrounds and great people.
Yeah,
like it's
100%.
just looking at someone as a people. Like, who cares if
Yeah,
you
exactly.
believe something different from me? I'm not going to judge you on that.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's just treating you as a person,
Yeah.
a human being. And I think if we can start doing that, then the world will be a much, much better place.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Good book. It's a really good book.
A few
Yeah.
people, there's a couple more people that have like referenced it now as well.
Nice.
So I'm like, oh, I better
jump on the bandwagon.
better get stuck in. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah, cool. Do you want to start getting get the old sock out?
Yeah, but let me just say the name of the podcast.
Oh shit! Yeah. Fucking hell. We haven't-
So
fucking hell.
yeah,
Sorry,
you were
I
like, oh,
forgot.
before that,
Yeah.
DJ.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Go
So
on.
we've finally come up with a name for podcast. We're called the. What was it? The or
No,
just?
just unwrapped.
Okay, Unwrapped.
The
It's not.
unwrapped.
I was going to say the Unwrapped podcast, but yeah, definitely not that.
Just Unwrapped.
Unwrapped. We're called
Yeah.
Unwrapped. Who came up with that name?
I think I put it into ChatGPT and that came up with an idea. I didn't propose that to you, and then I came in here and you said I really liked Unwrapped.
Oh yeah, I think it might have been Sandra's client, Nathan.
Oh, really?
I think he came up with
Oh,
it.
amazing.
And I had a
Thanks,
couple of other
Nathan.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate
A
that.
couple more people came up with it. A couple more people confirmed that was their favourite as well. So we're gonna go
I've
with that.
done the research. There's not a podcast out there called Unwrapped,
Sick.
so we won't be treading on anyone's toes and getting a lawsuit. Perfect.
Perfect. Do you want to do the sock?
Yeah, let's get the sock out.
The confession sock. So I'm not really. Is there any in there?
Yeah, it's right down the bottom.
Bro.
That's why I bought it, because
Choose
there's
a
a
better
hole.
sock. So if this is a confession for you, then you read it, right? Are you doing it like that, or has it got to be mine?
Yeah, it's just whatever comes out. That's yours, definitely.
It's not even anything, is it?
Is it not?
It's just it's a ripped one. It's part of a confession.
Oh, for fuck's
Laminate them, mate.
sake. I haven't got a laminator.
I know I don't either.
That's a dying out thing, isn't it? Oh no, that's definitely mine.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, mate, that's a gross one. I just
Oh, this is
caught the beginning of that. I once
Don't say it, because this is the one that I've literally been dreading. This is the worst one.
gutted.
I'm honestly gutted.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I can't believe you pulled this one out. Okay, so I'll give you some context, okay? 'Cause the context of this is
I
important.
reckon we should make a habit of reading them and then provide
Well,
context.
I don't agree with that.
Why?
So, okay, give some... If you watch a film, right, what is a film? A film's a story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So if you watched a film, and let's say the superhero died at the end, and at the start of the film it said, superhero dies at the end, here's how. And you'd be like, this is a shit film, because I know what's going to happen. It's like saying
Compare
this.
your confession sock
No.
to a movie, Tarantino's movie.
No, it's not. No, I'm not going to bring in the special effects and then the actors. But my point is, if you're saying a story,
Yeah.
you leave the thing that happens at the end.
Okay, fine.
That's the effective storytelling for me.
Okay, come on in.
Okay, sorry.
sorry.
Let's go. How are you doing for time, by the way? What time's your client?
20 minutes.
Cool. Okay, we'll get this podcast done in 20
Yeah, we'll do five or so minutes now of your story,
Okay.
and then we'll do that question.
I'll try and make it, because I don't want to talk about this much because it's fucking embarrassing. But basically, I want to say 2006, 2007, could be 2008. I can't do the math quickly in my head. I was 15 years old. I was going to on a rugby tour to South Africa. Our school went. Girls went on a hockey tour, boys went on a rugby tour. You had to be paired up with a friend throughout the whole trip. It was 2 weeks long, and I was paid up with my mate, who's actually a client of mine at the moment. Actually, he's one of my best friends, and two boys in a room together. It's like, I'm bearing in mind going through puberty, hormones everywhere, a lot of sexual tension and all of that stuff. So bearing in mind, like, you've got all of that tension going on inside of you, nowhere to release it because you've always got your mate.
Oh, come on. I don't like the suspense of this, bro. Especially when you being 15.
See, this is Tarantino.
Oh my God.
Okay. I might have been 16 going on 17 or 15 going on 16, one of those. So anyway, 2 weeks go by, we're on the flight home, and I'm like quite sexually frustrated because I haven't masturbated in like 2 weeks.
I've had his Tommy tank.
Yeah, it's a long time, by the way. And I'm on the plane on the way home, and I'm sitting next to, so we're putting alphabetical order on the way home. I'm sitting next to this girl who I was friendly with in school or whatever. And it's a night flight. So the lights go off, and the air stewardesses come around and put blankets on us to keep you all, have a nice sleep, whatever. The lights go out. And one of the flight attendants was really good looking. And I was like, looking at her, I was like, getting quite sexually frustrated. I was like, oh, wow. So everyone, I kind of like...
This story's taking a mad turn. This is you and this boy in a room sexually frustrated. I was like, I don't like where this is going. You're on a plane with blankets.
So basically, lights went out. So I looked around and there was no one was up, everyone was sleeping. So I was like, oh, fuck it. So I just masturbated on the plane while everyone was sleeping.
Oh, mate, that's fucking
I know.
amazing.
I don't know what came over me. Well, I do know what came over me myself. But that, yeah, I've been dreading saying that story, and it feels I've never said that story to anyone before.
Really?
No.
I'm surprised you've never told me that off camera, off air.
Nah, never.
Yeah, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it feels. I don't know. I feel a lot better saying it.
Do you?
I feel like I've been like had a hold over me all my life.
That's fucking amazing.
So, yeah, it's really, really bad.
Do you think about that now when you go on plane journeys?
No, do you know what? I never have. No, I never have. But just writing those confessions, I was just racking my brain. I was like,
That's a good
it's like,
confession.
whoa, that's something that I've never really explored before. A thought that I've kind of put deep in the subconscious.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it just came back to life. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to share it.
The problem is now is I don't think we'll ever outdo that confession.
That
a couple of my confessions are just really shit.
We've got some deep ones that I think will really pull on the heartstrings of some people. It's like stuff that. So I think that the crude ones are done now.
Yeah.
Which I'm really glad about because that was the one I've been dreading the most.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But thanks for turning it into something lighthearted and
that's brilliant.
helping me laugh through it.
So let's segue that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the question I've got for you,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I suppose it is a segue. It's basically you asked. I thought you got hacked. You asked me this question a year ago, I think. You WhatsApped it, and Brad had the same one as well. And I was like, he's got hacked. And you were like, it was like quite formal, the question you asked. It was like you wanted me to answer a couple of questions about you. What I think about you.
Yeah, sorry, I had no idea.
And it was about like you're like the main sort of question I want to ask you, which is one of those questions, is how you portray yourself on social media, and then my opinion on it.
Well, that
was one of the questions, yes. amongst other things. I won't talk about all of the questions, but it was really deep. Yeah. It was really deep questions, and it was like really like you wanted people's opinion of you, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like personality things in there as well. So, and the questions was like how you portray yourself on social media, and how I feel that you come across on social media. My answer was like, I like obviously the way you come across on social media. It's very like funny. It's very like driven through like it's like quite Brunson-esque, isn't it? Whereas like throw a bit of stones and have a bit of shock value, have hooks, all the sort of like standard stuff we've got. And I suppose I feel like that in the last, you asked me the question about how much I changed in the last year, and I suppose my question is something similar. I found like your social media has sort of stayed pretty consistent with like the theme of what you're trying to get out there for people, but you as a person have like sort of changed quite a bit. I feel like you're way more like emotionally connected with yourself, with other people. You're much deeper. You're a very like caring person. And I suppose the question that I have then is similar to what you asked me last week. How much has it changed? But also like the question of like, who are you, and how you feel like you as a person in, we'll call it real life, versus the person you on social media. How different do you think they are now, or do you feel like there's like true authenticity across both platforms?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Very deep for a Thursday morning, but you know, I think the theme of this podcast is getting clear now. We are quite deep thinkers.
Yeah,
or we like
sure.
to think ourselves.
Yeah, we're not really
thinkers.
philosopher. We like these types of shit.
yeah, shit philosophers.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think
because like before you answer that, I think there's so many people that are way different on social media than they are in real life. Like loads. I've seen people come in here, and I look at them on social media, and I'm like, bloody hell, they're really confident with the stuff they're posting. They come in here and they're like, can't make eye contact, quiet as a mouse. It's like a really like obvious thing. And then for people that are like us, I'll call you an entrepreneur. People that are like you as an entrepreneur, self-employed. Then you know there has to be something that you're doing. But then does it have that sort of like real life application?
Yeah, and I think it's something that I've had to work really hard on, because you know what social media is like. It's like little sound bites. It's not your true self, in the sense of like, you have to be a little bit, is hyperbole the right word I'm using there?
Never heard of that word ever.
Right.
Let's just say yes.
You have to be quite, you have to grab attention. I think attention is like the new oil, they say.
Yeah.
You know, data and attention. And if you're able to capture people's, you have to capture people. You can't be boring fuck on social media. Otherwise, no one's going to watch your stuff. And sometimes you have to be a little bit out there. Sometimes you have to maybe bend your personality a little bit to capture attention. But I think one of the reasons why like George was saying, I sent out right close, nearest and dearest questions about who I was, because I don't want to say I was going through a bit of a crisis, but I was just looking at my social media and portray on me as a person, and I had a few people said to me like, you don't come across as you as on social media like you are in person. And that hit me quite hard, because I've always been someone who likes to be quite authentic, and hopefully people who watch this podcast are seeing the real us. Like, there's no scripts involved. It's just how we talk on a day-to-day basis. And I think that was something that I've struggled with, because I was like, I need to capture attention. I need to be a little bit out there. But I was like, is that me? And like, so a lot of the stuff that I'm posting now is more me. But like you said earlier, there are a lot of people out there, and I was definitely went down that route where, if you would have talked to me in person, you'd be like, it's not the person that I know on social media, so to speak. But I understand why people do that, because it's a free-for-all on social media. You can almost like create a separate identity.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why people troll quite a lot as well. They create accounts because then they can express themselves and say what they really think. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast on the way down, actually, with Mark Zuckerberg on it, and they were talking about how back when COVID was around, like, people were losing their jobs for voicing an opinion that didn't fit the narrative.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to be careful on the other side as well, where if you're too outspoken, you can lose your job, essentially. You can come across as someone who maybe doesn't fit in with the status quo. And it's just a minefield, I think. And I think our generation is like still grappling with this social media thing. We haven't quite grasped like what it means yet. And I think like being authentic and just saying the truth and just voicing your opinion and saying what you believe, and then ultimately like people then are going to form an opinion anyway. I've kind of forgotten what the original question was. I feel like I'm half answering it, but not really getting to the point. What was the? It was
basically
point?
How much you've changed personally, say like the last year or stuff.
Right.
You become a little bit more emotionally aware, a little bit more. I feel like a little bit more understanding of where you're going and what you want to do, and then how that's affected your social media.
Right.
Sort of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's. I think it's just something that's come with like maturity as well.
Just learning how to use social media a little bit more.
Reading books.
Learning how to like get people hooked in onto your product, but then also understand yourself more to put that into the person that's pumping the adverts.
Yeah, and I've just found that being more of yourself is just going to attract the right people anyway. Like there's people out there, like I always say this, like if you if you saved a kid from a burning building, there'd be some people out there who'd report you for breaking and entering.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're never going to please everyone.
Yeah.
So it's just about just be yourself, and then people can decide whether they like you or not. And the people who don't like you, that's fine. They can have their opinion. The people who do like you, it's like, cool, come into my tribe.
Yeah.
Let me help you. Let me support
100%.
you, and we'll get on. And I think that's been the biggest catalyst for me. Is just be your true, authentic self.
Yeah.
Be as true as you can, and whatever happens then will happen.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you feel like you come across as you on social media versus, like, I think this podcast is literally me.
Yeah, me too. I
love it.
This
it's
is
a bit of
pretty
therapy.
raw. Yeah. The people said like why are you doing the podcast with Dan? I was like, I just want to chat to my mate for an hour. Like, genuinely, that's pretty much all I want to do. It gives me a reason to like connect with you again and just have normal chat instead of it being all like work based.
Yeah, hi mate, how's it going? Yeah, good. How's work going? Yeah, very surface level shit.
Yeah. I know. I know. Actually,
that was Christmas. Yeah, it's really
I
good.
know. I'm still saying fucking Happy New Year. It's the 17th.
Oh, automatic.
It's horrible. I know. When I'm at the county, he's like, oh, Happy New Year. Did you have a good one? Oh my gosh, shut up, mate. Get my account open. I think I come across as I want. Like, I tend not to like try and post for like algorithms. I try not to post for like clout or attention. I try and just post stuff that I believe in. I like to post like educational content. I feel like I'm getting more passionate now as I'm sort of establishing in this about like mentoring and coaching coaches, like actual upskilling people. So I feel like my content is starting to lean more into that, instead of just sort of giving advice that like lifters can benefit from, but like coaches can benefit from as well, like how I see things and how I coach things, how I cue things, understanding of why I cue a certain way, stuff like that. The coaches can sort of think critically about and apply into their coaching, or at least challenge their own bias. So I feel like I do that.
So you're basically going to give people squat, bench, and deadlift days from moving forward then? Because I know you're a massive fan of that.
Oh, yeah. I'm not answering that. We'll save that when we have more time. And when I'm like lifting and stuff, like when I lift, I like to express myself, but I'm not very, I used to be really like vocal, very extroverted, but I'm not really anymore. I feel like I've just sort of grown out of that, and I can be a little bit more like intrinsically driven and just sort of be in my own head. But I always put like my music on top of things, and my music probably appeals to like 1% of my audience, you know? It's like I definitely don't listen to the music, but I like it because it's like I'm expressing myself. It's like art, you know? Like I put this video up, I'll clip it in a certain way, which is very raw. I don't clip it that well, but then I just chuck my music on top. I try and time the lift to like a breakdown, like just stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's real cool, and I'll just post that. So like I try and use social media for like that, just expressing me and authentic me, but try not to tarnish the business. I make sure that because people are really bad at associating or dissociating between like, I would never put like really like outrageous beliefs on there. Not that I have anything that's too mental anyway, but I wouldn't put like a vaccine opinion on there, because like people associate Jordan Hellier with Zero Wales, and then if they're like a member of Zero Wales and he disagreed with me, it could affect my business. So like I'm mindful of stuff like that, but I don't use social media for that, to be honest. I just use it to post my lifting, promote my products, show how my clients are doing, and just a little bit of shit here and there that I do.
Yeah, and again, I think that's something that I grapple with a lot, is like if you feel like then you can't be your true authentic self and talk about the stuff that you really believe in, is that being authentic?
Yeah, because you don't have to say like I don't have to say about like I won't say that actually. I don't have to talk about things that like I wouldn't tell people. Yeah, like I probably wouldn't talk about the vaccine to people unless they're like really close like circle of mine. So like when I'm sharing on social media, it's like a public announcement. I'm sharing it to like my closest circle and way beyond. And like a lot of the stuff I speak about, I don't want to share with absolutely everyone. So it's not like I'm not being authentic. It's just I don't want to share that information with that reach of people. So I've got thousands of followers.
Yeah. All right.
definitely not sarcasm, by the way.
No.
We got to wrap this up.
That's fine. I think this podcast has been slightly different to the other one, so we'll go back to the scripts that we generally follow.
We just blabbered a little bit longer.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It's not going to be the same every single week, but thank you so much. You got a client now, yeah?
Yeah, you're going to do a little close on this.
Yeah, I am. I'm just going to say, Untapped will be...
Untapped?
Unwrapped.
Oh my God, this is shit.
Unwrapped, and we'll get some merch done for you and me.
Untapped.
Untapped's a fucking app for a drink, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like I think you can try beers across the world and people rate them and
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
But
Well,
yeah, Unwrapped moving forward, we'll have a new YouTube page.
we'll make a logo at some point.
Yeah, make a logo and then hopefully some merch for us. And if people want to buy them, they can wrap the Unwrapped.
Roughly in that.
But thanks for your support. I think we've had 200 views already on 2 of the videos. So as long as it will grow, then yeah, we'll keep doing it.
Nice.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thanks, mate. That was good.
Yeah, that was really good.
Thank you.
That was probably my favorite one so far.
Yeah.